Yo. I'm celebrating Halloween. I've been, in anticipation of this reading. Anytime I see the news and, he who shall not be named, I always think, this is why there are words, why doesn't he use more words? So I'm the author of Fruit of the Drunken Tree. It just came out this past summer. And it's a book that takes place in Colombia, and it's in the time of Pablo Escobar, and there's car bombs and kidnappings and assassinations. And then there's two young girls who are living through this time. And I'm going to read to you from one girl's point of view. And this is also the last third of the book, like it says. So this chapter is called The Hour of the Fog. All day we waited for Papa. Mama yelled he was on his way, stop asking. I turned on the television. Everything on the television was about Pablo Escobar. There was a banner of text running at the bottom of the screen. Breaking news, the biggest manhunt in history. A reporter was saying Pablo Escobar had escaped and that he had not been in a high-security prison as the government wanted the country to believe, but he had been living in a high-security mansion. He's free. He can come to Bogota. Chula, hold on a minute. I'm trying to listen, Mama said. Every channel on the television was showing specials. Reporters stood inside the high-security prison, showing off the water beds, jacuzzis, fine carpets, marble tiles, the sauna, the bar with the discotheque, the telescopes, radio equipment, and so many weapons, grenades, machine guns, pistols, machetes. He had been running the cartels from prison. Finally, we found the channel that was talking about the details of the escape. There was an animated map of the prison. The prison was nested in the hilly mountainside of Medellin. Little army men swept to surround the building. The reporter said that since the prison guards were all of Pablo Escobar's men, the escape was easy. They helped capture a few hostages and used them to hold the Colombian army at bay. The reporter said Pablo Escobar and his men were thought to have escaped at the hour of the fog. That's because they slipped unseen past the battalion surrounding the prison, and since up in the hills a heap of women's clothes was later discovered, it was thought that Pablo Escobar and his men went out into the mountains, in disguise, a row of ladies walking into the clouds. When it was dusk, Mama said Papa was late because of traffic. Then she said maybe there had been a landslide. I thought of car accidents, hospitals, women in distress, hitchhikers. Then my sister Cassandra asked, "What did he say exactly when you talked to him, Mama?" Mama shrugged. He said he was leaving right away. He was going to get his bag and drive home. The television droned on in the background. Pablo Escobar this, Pablo Escobar that. I huddled with Mama on the couch. Night fell. It began to rain again. The drum of rain banged on our roof and windows, and the howling wind crept through the bottom of the floor. I was falling asleep when Mama rose to her feet and went about the house moving things from one table to another. Her bathrobe ballooned about her as she bent and picked things up from the floor. She dropped the dictionary into a cabinet drawer and said, "His car probably broke down on the highway." Mama scrubbed her face with her hands. For the first time, I noticed the color. Her forehead was white, but her cheekbones and overlip glistened in a sickly green. I tried to imagine Papa's car breaking down. Maybe there had been a nail in the middle of the road. I imagined Papa cranking on the cross-shaped tire iron as neon orange triangles flashed by the car, reflecting passing headlights. Then I imagined Papa bursting through the front windshield of his car in an accident. I averted my eyes, but the image was there. The tips of my ears tingled. "Go to sleep," Mama said. "I'll wake you when your father comes." "I want to wait, Mama. I'm sure he's fine. Go and I'll wake you." I went to the attic and crawled into bed next to Cassandra, the patter of rain over the world of our dreams. The next day, downstairs, Mama was smoking in the living room and the television was emitting a loud, continuous beep, showing a static image of color bars. Mama, Cassandra was saying, shaking her shoulder, Mama, did Papa come? Mama narrowed her eyes until they closed. She sucked her cigarette, swallowing the smoke. Then it came forth out of her nostrils. Cassandra shook her again. Mama's eyes broke open. What is it? Did Papa call? What time is it? It's 7. She sat up and put out her cigarette in the ashtray. She picked up the telephone and then held it in her hand. The telephone buttons lighted fluorescent green, and the dim sound of the dial tone filled the room. Mama, why don't you dial? I'm thinking. Mama, dial, what are you waiting for? But the color drained from her. She was looking into the distance as she replaced the receiver. Then she was on her feet, braiding her fingers at the nape of her head, and then she was sitting against the wall, hiding her face between her knees. It will be okay, your papa is okay, she called after a while. Her voice built a new anxiety in me. The police in Medellin found a Pablo Escobar hideout. The reporter was standing fully dressed in the shower, showing how a young cop, who for no reason wondered whether the apartment bought with laundered money had running water, had turned the shower knob. What happened next was that the shower wall swung out like a door, and there, below a few steps, was a small apartment. The reporter motioned for the cameras to come in. He flicked on a switch. Everything was in disarray. There was a bed. Here, you may imagine, the subject of the biggest manhunt in history peacefully slept while the police searched the apartment. The reporter lifted a coffee cup left on the nightstand. When police first entered, this coffee was still warm. The room was empty and the police left to search the vicinity, but little did they know, the reporter said, walking to a wall where he pulled on a cord. There was another hideout within the hideout. A small door swung out from the wall and revealed a tight crawl space. Pablo Escobar probably sat here, literally a hairbreadth away from the authorities, biding his time to sneak away. The telephone rang all day, but Mama was holed up in her bedroom with her door shut, so I stayed with the television. At night, Mama turned into a black widow. Her bed was stripped, and the pillows and blankets were on the floor. I found her sitting on the mattress. The firelight of the candle clasped between her thighs threw a satin sheen on her hair, and her contorted fingers radiated orange shadows. Her cheekbones and forehead glistened, but her eyes hung back. She was braiding the air with her fingers, mumbling prayers. When I touched her, her body crumbled under my fingers as if it were ash. She curved by the candle, crying. Bowled over, she rocked on her thighs and howled. It was a pained, low, guttural howl. It washed through my entire body. Everything was terrible. I howled as well. My eyes sprang with tears and my sight doubled. My mom with 4 hands covering her face saying, "What are we going to do, Chula? What in the world are we going to do?" I fell on my knees and cried on the lap of the scratching mattress. "What is happening, Mama?" She kicked her legs. "The guerrillas have him." "So give them what they want, Mama. What do they want?" "I don't know." Mama pulled her hair. "I don't know. They just called to say they have him." Cassandra came in running. She shook Mama until she understood what was happening. Then together Mama and Cassandra screamed back and forth, Cassandra crying, "Mama, do something," and Mama screaming, "I can't." Thank you.